Hi, Kathy here with My Light Ministries videos. I want to talk to you today about those days when you feel like you are just not good enough. There's nothing that you can do that's good enough. You're always a failure. You're always going to be a failure. You're not going to fit in, and you're just kind of done with it sometimes. Sometimes you feel like you've been passed over and passed over and passed over, and nobody even recognizes you. Why do you even try? That you're just kind of invisible to the world, and you don't seem to fit in. There's not a crowd whatsoever. You seem to be fitting in. You feel like you're just alone in the world. You had friends, and then they tend to find other friends, and then you feel like, hey, it's just me against the world. Sometimes you even feel that way in church. You feel like other people are asked to do things or whatever, and you're never asked to do anything, and you seem meaningless and invisible to the world. Well, I'll tell you what, every bit of those things are lies from the devil, and we all know it, but we still listen to him sometimes as he tries to make us feel like we're not fitting in. Sometimes people even will tell us that we don't fit in. They'll say, I don't want to be your friend anymore if you're younger. If you're older, they just walk away and kind of leave you alone and don't do anything. And sometimes even in the workplace, you'll not get the job and someone else will get the job, and you don't understand why you feel like somebody less qualified gets a job and you don't. Doesn't make any sense. Well, I'll tell you what, God made every single one of us different. Nobody was meant to fit in the same position. Don't try to conform to what the world says or what other people say. If you know you're following God, don't try to put yourself in the wrong place. Don't try to put a square peg in a round hole. It'll never work. The devil will look for any weakness that we have, and he will try to find that place. If you are following God, you're doing something that God wants you to do, and that you know it's from God, then realize the devil's not going to ask you to go out, feed the poor, do something that is biblical. He's not going to ask you to do that. So if you're being asked to do something that does line up with the Bible, you need to stand firm and not be shaken. I think about Peter and how that he was at that point where he had to stand up for God, or he had to fit himself in with everybody else and go, I don't associate with him. Don't let yourself give up the ministry or whatever it is that God has for you by letting the world tell you, hey, you just don't fit in. I'm going to read a few scriptures here. In James 1:2-4, it says, "Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials." If you're going through a trial, it's for a reason. Knowing that it is the testing of your faith that produces endurance. We all need to learn that we're going to go through tests, and we do need to find a way to endure. And let the endurance have perfect results, that you may be perfect and completely lacking nothing. During those times that you are feeling left out, alone, and unwanted, let those times be that time that you grow in strength in God. Follow him, and don't let yourself waver to the left or to the right. Check your motives against the Bible. Work for God. In Colossians 3:23-24, it says, "Whatever you do, work it as with all your heart, as working for the Lord." So you want to be working for the Lord, not for anybody else. It doesn't matter who's approving you and who's not. As long as God approves, then you're doing the right thing. For human masters, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive your inheritance from God as your reward. It is the Lord Christ that you are serving. So serve him. Don't worry about what others think. Worry about what God thinks. Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will strengthen you, and he will never let his righteous be forsaken. It doesn't matter if you feel like you're forsaken right now. That verse comes from Psalms 55:22. You'll never be forsaken. He will be there for you, and you won't have to worry about it. And if you become weary along the way, remember in Matthew 11:28, it says, "Come to me, all you that are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Rest in Him during these times of trials. And then be humble. Don't be too proud. Don't be standing too much going, "Hey, I know what I'm doing." Let God speak for you and just do what you're doing. 1 Peter 5:6 says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up in due time." In due time, God will let you be lifted up. He will be there for you through every bit of the trial. He'll be there with you through every bit of everything that you're going through. So stand tall, stand firm. It is the end of times. You cannot let the world dictate you. So stand up for God, be strong, have a wonderful day, and fit in God's crowd. If it's just you and God, it's your crowd. Have a blessed and wonderful day.